It's only been a few days since we last left you, but we're back on Thompson to Clark. And heading into this show, well, not even heading into the show, but last week after we were finishing up our episode, which came out on Thursday, I was like, we're coming back pretty soon. I wonder if we're going to have anything to talk about. And oh my God, we have so much to talk about. Because I forgot that that the draft was this weekend as well.
Yeah.
And so we have draft to talk about. We have the end of the first half before the All-Star break. I was at Saturday's game, so we can talk a little bit about that. Logan Webb, first ever shutout complete game. And Alex Cobb. Let's start with Alex Cobb. Alex Cobb, first time All-Star. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, that's kind of a fun thing for him because I think he missed didn't he miss the All-Star game? Oh gosh, it was like 10 years ago almost. And no, well, I don't remember if it was exactly that long ago, but he was elected to the All-Star game, but couldn't go because of an injury. And so this is really his first time actually getting to go. And him getting chosen, what was it, like 2 days before? It was the game that you were at, right? They announced it. And so it was like 2 days before the All-Star break. And so I think at that point he was like, okay, I'm not going to get injured. I'm going to be able to actually make this game this time. So, we thought beginning of the season, we go, oh, Webb, Webb's kind of a lock. He'll be in there. He'll be a starter. It didn't quite pan out, even though he had a fantastic start in the last game of the first half here. But man, congrats to Alex Cobb. That's pretty awesome.
And taking nothing away from Alex Cobb, I don't mean anything by this, but I do wonder if Logan wasn't scheduled to pitch on Sunday, I wonder if he would have got the Duke instead. Now, you can look at their ERA, and Cobb's ERA is better. But the one thing that stands out, and this is kind of a little bit of a funny stat for Cobb. So Logan Webb, 126 innings pitched, 117 hits. Alex Cobb is 89 innings pitched, 99 hits. So that's the one thing that you're like, there's a little bit of luck going on here, or his ability to hold runners and pitch out of jams. But the peripheral stats, the ones that you go a little bit more deep inside, Logan has clearly had the better first half, but I still think it's really cool if it had to do with, was he going to be available to pitch? Then so be it. Logan wouldn't have been able to play anyways because he pitched on Sunday, and we're thankful that he did because he pitched one of the better games of the season. He was able to go all 9 innings, and they needed every bit of them because they only scored 1 run. And we went into that series, and I was like, let's just sweep these guys. These guys are terrible. And then they go out on Friday and they lay an egg. And Saturday, Saturday wasn't much better. It's not like they scored a bunch of runs, but the ball was flying out to left field, especially. There were some balls that were hit up in the air that I was pretty clear the batters themselves were like, this is probably not even going out to the warning track. And they went over the fence. And, I forget who it was, Conforto. Conforto hit a wall scraper into left field. And I was like, hey, everybody just like right-handers, just pull the hell out of it, and lefties just go the other way because the ball was just flying out of there for about the first 6 innings. But yeah, it was a good baseball game. But it wasn't like the Giants were necessarily tearing the cover off the baseball. What did they score? Like 4 runs all weekend or something like that?
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. Yeah, because then again Sunday you get a 1-0 win. The offense is struggling, but it's because you got so many guys who are missing right now. So, but again, you win the games you're supposed to win. You win the series you're supposed to win, and then you can look at that and say, okay, you're on the right track. Because very easily, again, scoring 1 run yesterday, Sunday, if Webb has any kind of hiccup and the Rockies scored 2 runs, the Giants lose the series.
Yeah.
And then we're sitting here going, okay, let's go over these injuries again, because these are guys we need to have back. They just drafted a 2-way player. Can't have him start the second half of the season. But, it's like we need pitching. We need healthy pitching. We need healthy hitting. We need healthy base running. We need the ankles, healthy knees, healthy everything right now. It's just everybody's so banged up.
By the way, I was kidding. They scored more than 4 runs, but not much more than 4 runs.
Was it like 5?
No, they scored 8 runs. So they on Saturday, the game that I was at, they scored 5. So
yeah, there you go.
But on Friday, I think they only scored 2. So yeah, the Rockies we're very thankful for the Rockies, because they, I was looking, because they have a couple good players. Now, if this was a team from about 3 years ago, you'd go, wow, Chris Bryant and CJ Cron on the same team. That's actually pretty cool. And neither guy is really doing anything this year. I think I saw Chris Bryant's his slugging percentage is like under 400. And man, you're not to say that I'm glad that he's not doing well, but man, I'm glad the Giants didn't re-sign him, because maybe they knew something at the end of the 2021 season. But he's struggling, and their team is just really bad baseball team. So every pitcher they brought in had an ERA of like 6 or higher when I was there. I was like, this is not good.
Chris Bryant has been hurt so much too the last couple of seasons. And, when we got him, he was an injury prone guy too in the trade, and got a little banged up at the end of the season. So, that's a tough one, because at that point we were, had won 107 games, gone to the playoffs, and, lost to the Dodgers in the best of 5. But at that point you're going, oh, maybe we are just a Chris Bryant away. That's the guy. We got to re-sign him and keep pushing and going forward. But how many times we got to say this? Trust the process. Right? Trust the process.
Yeah, totally. So, they come out of the first half 49-41. And, I think, we're going to talk about some predictions that we made at the end of this show. I can't say that I'm disappointed in any way of how this first half went on. We always want them to win 100 games. We always want them to, be in first place. But if you told me 49-41, 2.5 games out of first, and right in the mix for that third wild card, I'm like, hey, I'm in. Let's do it. I'll take it. And so I think Giants fans, should be pretty satisfied with how they played so far.
You would have tried to have me committed if I would have told you after let's say April that they were going to be 49-41.
Oh yeah.
You would have said, "What the hell are you talking about, man?"
Yeah, absolutely. Because they started so terribly, and we always love those stats, because you could make stats, look fantastic or look terrible. Because if you're a Dodgers fan and you go, come on, Giants were like the worst team in baseball in April, and then Giants fans could go, oh yeah, take away April, we're the best team in baseball. So.
Yeah, for sure, man. I mean, they've cooled off a little bit lately, but still, it's just kind of cruising along here and winning series still. And I mean, yeah, they lost a couple on the East Coast, but that humidity, travel, massive amount of injuries. Not making excuses, but at least they won. They won 1 game in each series before coming home and then continuing on kind of on their winning ways. Then they open up at Pittsburgh, at Cincinnati. I mean, it's going to be a long road in the second half. So the Giants have got to get some guys rested.
Cincinnati's hot, man.
Oh man,
young. They're like the Hum Baby 2.0 team that we're trying to be. So.
Oh yeah, Ellie De La Cruz by himself could beat you. I mean, that guy is just unbelievable. If you've never even heard of him or seen him, watch this guy when he plays against the Giants. The guy is just insane.
I think everyone has probably seen it by now if you're paying attention to baseball.
Yeah,
where he steals second, and then he steals third, and then he steals home. That was like a little league play. That was like
exactly.
I remember there was a kid when I was I don't know, I was probably like 10 or 11 years old. His name was Derek Bass, and he was so fast that if he hit a ground ball to say there was like a runner on first, like, that your only play is at second base because he is beating it out no matter what. He was so fast. Anything in the dirt, he's swiping the base, and so you just have no chance. And that's what I was thinking about with Ellie. I was like, man, all the pitcher did was take his eye off of him, and he just races home. I was
I
just
like
this is Little League.
I like they didn't catch it, so that because even the cameras, they weren't ready for it, and so the cameraman just looked real. Our cameraman was on first base, and first baseman got a glove just pointing to the pitcher, like, "Hey, he's going home."
By the way, we have the home run derby on in the background here. We'll kind of keep you updated. Who won the first matchup, Brad?
So first matchup was Adolis Garcia. There it is. Yeah, you know what? And so I gave you this bracket earlier. Well, it turns out what they're going to do is reseed.
Oh, okay.
After the first round. So
they just don't want us to have any fun whatsoever.
No, I know. But still, I still have my final round matchup. And I think you picked a final round matchup also. So at least we have that. So the first round, Adolis Garcia, there you see number 4 seed, Randy Arozarena, number 5 seed. Arozarena just destroyed him. I think he hit 28 or 29 home runs. Let's see. They just had it up there. I think he hit 28 home runs. And just now we had a walk-off. Luis Robert Jr. Hit a home run, number 28, to break the tie against Adley Rushman, who had 27. I was kind of shocked.
Yeah.
You know, the young kid decided to play in the home run derby and hit 27 home runs. At one point, he only had like 16 with about a minute left. I go, well, that's it. And then he blasted off 10 more.
He had a nice little Bryce Harper thing going on. Didn't, had the like head thing that had the hair flowing a little bit, a little bit of style there from the guy. And then he got beat out. All right, let's just say it here. Well, let's just give our predictions here because my prediction was Arozarena and Alonso in the finals. Now you're saying that they reseed. Yeah. I'm kind of wondering, if it's not Alonso, I'd love to see J-Rod in there. Obviously, Vladdy Jr. is a banger, but he's having a tough year. But J-Rod or Alonso, just because Pete Alonso is the best guy I've ever seen do this, and this is going back like a long, long time. Like we've seen Bonds, we've seen Big Mac, we've seen Ken Griffey Jr., we've seen Sosa. So, but I think Alonso might be the best guy I've ever seen. So I'm going Alonso to win the whole thing. But he won 2 years ago, right?
He's won twice, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, he's won 2. And then last year he got beat by Julio Rodriguez, who was facing in the first round here.
Yeah.
And Julio Rodriguez, I mean, this is in Seattle, so the crowd is just geeked for him. So I'm sure they're going to do that as the last
of the first round matchup.
Yeah, the last of the first round. So you're going to get Betts and Vladdy Jr. next. I had Vladdy Jr. winning that round against Betts. I had Adolis winning, Louis Bob winning, so I got one wrong there. I think Pete Alonso is going to win the whole thing. Like you said, I think he's going to face Luis Robert. I mean, you saw Luis Robert just crushing.
Very easy swings, too.
Yeah, I think he hit his walk-off, number 28, and he still had like 45 seconds left. So, I mean, I can't even imagine if he had full time, he could probably hit like 35, 36. So,
yeah,
it would be pretty crazy.
All right, we'll keep you up to date as far as what's going on. Now, this thing usually goes about 24 hours, so we'll be off the air before then.
I can't believe how long the home run derby goes. Really, you're just swinging and hitting home runs, guys. We can make this like an hour and a half.
Goes deep into the night, deep into the night. All right, so let's get back on some stuff. The one negative I think that we have to talk about is Kyle Harrison. It sounded like there were plans to get him involved in the rotation in the second half, and they're going to try and, they're basically dancing around 3 starters. It's Logan Webb, Alex Cobb, and Anthony DeSclafani. And when you talk about Cobb and DeSclafani, you're talking about guys who have been injured, a decent amount of their career. So not the most dependable guys, but I think Harrison was going to kind of sneak in and be the 4th guy there for them at some point in the second half. He hurt his hamstring. And so that's going to delay things. But I saw Andy Baggerly said that because he is more than likely still on an innings count, this could actually help if he's pitching well into September. And, our hope is that they're going to be playing some big baseball games in September. So that's going to be interesting as far as how they get him involved. But yeah, it's kind of a bummer because we've been chomping at the bit for Harrison to get out there, just like we were for Matos, just like we were for Bailey, Schmidt. So it'd be nice to see him. And it sounds like that is the plan. It's just unfortunate for him that he got hurt. So they may have to postpone those plans just a little bit.
Yeah, and he was going to be on innings limit anyways. So I mean, this might just kind of stretch it out. And like you said, he could be ready for September. And if let's say he was healthy and came up right after the All-Star break or somewhere around there, he was going to be shut down at some point anyways. So there's a chance, say he's out a month and a half, he comes back and then we see him in September and he's difference maker in the starting rotation for the Giants going forward. I mean, the way the Giants do things, they don't necessarily have a starting rotation. They have like 2 or 3 guys who you're going to see all the time, and then just a hodgepodge of everybody else. So Harrison,
imagine the other team, right? You're the Dodgers. Yeah. Dave Roberts is kind of putting together his lineup, and Kapler's like, we're not going to say anything until right before the game starts because we want to run out in surprise Ryan Walker, baby. And then Dave Roberts is like, who cares, dude?
Yeah, exactly.
Crappy Ryan Walker.
Or
Ryan Walker's not crappy, but I'm just saying, like, the idea that there's like a sneak attack on this, like, yeah, if you sneak attack and you go, yeah, I'm bringing back Tim Lincecum in his prime as a sneak attack. That's a real sneak attack, but not like Ryan Walker, Keaton Wynn to throw 1 or 2 innings. So that's what they did on Saturdays. Ryan Walker comes out. And, I was sitting in front of, and I had to keep my mouth shut. I wanted to really help these guys, but, they're Giants fans, but they are not like us. They're not up to the day-to-day, but they're kind of like, they kind of know what's going on. You could tell they listen to KMBR or whatever. And so they had no idea what was going on with Ryan Walker. They're like, who is this guy? I don't even know. I've never seen him pitch. Like, he's not a starter. What is going on? Like, they were really confused. And I was just listening to them because I like to hear what normal fan, like not obsessed, like problematic fans like us. I'm talking about, normal casual fan. Yeah, we're pretty problematic.
We could be.
Yeah. But so, they didn't know Ryan Walker. And then Alex Wood came in, and Alex Wood pitched awesome on Saturday.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, Alex Wood. Wait, is my mind playing tricks on me? Did he start the game? I'm like, come on, guys. I was a right-hander. So what's the
all you have to do is open the MLB app, guys. Come on.
So they didn't understand the idea of an opener. They didn't understand why the Giants use their staff in this way. So I thought that was, it would be good for, whatever Kruk and Kipe. Maybe Kruk and Kipe do this. They sort of explain why you would do this or why you would run, this guy out. Now, I was thinking about it. I was like, because my buddy was with me, Edson. He and I have been friends since since we were like 13 years old or something, and we hadn't been to a game in a little while. So he and I went on Saturday, and so I was explaining to him kind of why they do it. What the reason to have an opener and why you'd bring in Alex Wood, who probably not able to throw 7 innings right now, but he can throw 4 or 5. And, you're going to get his best 4 or 5 innings. He doesn't have to worry about saving himself as much. And same with Ryan Walker, who comes in, he can just throw as hard as he wants for, an inning. And, but I do get it. It is very understandable how this does not make sense to conventional wisdom that a baseball fan is used to, right? The idea of an opener.
Yeah, and so how that kind of goes in hand with how do you get guys and not guys, but families in general, how do you get people to come to the ballpark when it's like, I don't know if I want to pay money to go see Ryan Walker start today and then Alex Wood take over. But you got to buy your tickets in advance for the most part if it's a Saturday or a Sunday and you want to bring the family out. So that kind of plays into it a little bit. But I mean, ultimately, you want to win ball games, and that's what the Giants did on Saturday. So I admit, man, this was tough for me as a baseball fan when the opener first started.
Yeah.
Because, when we're kids, what was one of the most fun things to do when you're playing a video game? Build your best 5-man rotation, get the best 5 starters. I'm going to get Clemens, Gooden, Saberhagen. You grab all the
Yeah.
best pitchers. I'd
Yeah.
always throw Kruko in there too. I'd have the best, and then Kruko would be my 5th starter.
Yeah.
But so when they introduced the opener, I was like, well, that's just an odd concept. I don't enjoy it. I don't really think I like it because I like to watch my pitchers go 7 and 8 innings and push for that 9th inning.
And that was very important to Logan Webb yesterday, right?
Yeah,
like that was a
absolutely.
big deal to him for that reason that you just said.
Yeah, 100%. And he is he's one of the throwbacks, man. He will give you those 9 innings. He will push to give you those 9 innings. Other guys, I'm sure, and I'm not saying Alex Wood is not that type of guy either, but he just doesn't have that stuff anymore. I mean, he's used in a strategic way where the Giants are able to win ball games with him rather than start him, have him go to the 5th or 6th, then bring in Ryan Walker, then bring in, it's just a little bit of a reverse. It kind of throws the hitters off a little bit. You may have to build your lineup a little bit differently as an opposing manager. It's just a little bit of trickeration. It's nothing. I mean, it's nothing that's like changing the game or made everything different. So I've embraced it because after I've seen it for a few years now, I'm like, okay, I get it. I understand it. And I'm definitely okay with it at this point.
The idea of it, if you have it explained to you, makes a ton of sense. Like I just said, Ryan Walker can come out in the first inning. He's like the reverse closer. He attacks the top of their order, and you hope to get through that first inning and maybe even a second with a guy throwing as hard as he possibly can with his best stuff. And then you bring in your long guy who doesn't have to throw 7. He can throw 4, and he can throw out of his ass. And then you bring in your closer and your setup guy, and you have every possible pitcher, theoretically throwing and not really having to preserve any energy. That's the idea. But what you said about it in the beginning of this, of what you were saying, is the actual marketing of a starting pitcher. Lincecum Day.
Right.
Lincecum Day was always sold out.
Rally Enchilada.
Ryan Vogelsong. Matt Cain, even though you knew the Giants were only scoring 2 runs when he pitched.
Yeah. When you bought a ticket to a Matt Cain game, you really just kind of prayed for some offense because you always felt so bad for the guy.
But that is a big thing, especially to this fan base who really, Madison Bumgarner was a big deal. Every time he pitched, you're like, man, there's a chance I'm going to get to see a no-hitter every time Madison Bumgarner took the mound. So that you miss that, you don't have that with the opener idea. And I'm very thankful that baseball has not become starting an opener every game, right? Because you could see that becoming. Now, I think starting pitchers will always be valuable, but if as the evolution of arms goes and the way that they're treating arms, you could see baseball going to where you only expect 5 innings out of your top guy because every guy throws 101 miles an hour, right? And you go, okay, we're gonna get the opener in. We're gonna bring in whoever Jacob deGrom 2.0 is in 10 years. He's gonna be throwing 110 miles an hour, but we only expect 5 innings out of him because then we have 3 more relievers who all throw over 100, and that's how we win ball games. You could totally see that going in the future, but that'll be a marketing thing. I think you just really have to teach the fans what's going on. Like they've done a really good job, Major League Baseball, of teaching the fans about why the pitch clock is important because these games end so quickly, and it's great, and you have to pay attention because you're not going to be there for 4 hours. We may not like the extra innings rule, but they taught us how it works, and it makes sense as to how it works, and so. I think this is just another thing as the evolution of the game and openers. Like, how about just teach the fans about why this thing works? Why don't we have videos on YouTube and TikTok about why openers make sense, right? Like that's how you get to
Yeah.
reach the young fans, right?
Yeah.
So
Now,
yeah.
do you think these guys who were sitting in front of you, though, do you think they went home and thought, well, that was a great strategy. That was kind of innovative. I enjoyed it. I might go back to another game and I'm on board with what the Giants are doing.
No, I think they really checked the box score the next morning to see who Ryan Walker was.
Yeah, they went immediately. They probably don't know what baseball reference is, but they probably went to the web and they're like, Ryan Walker. Speaking of box scores, the LA Times has their sports section is doing away with box scores. Did you hear about that?
No, I didn't.
As kids, what did we do? First thing in the morning, you grab the San Jose Mercury News and you look at the box scores. They're doing away with it because they got rid of their printing press and their new deadline is 3 p.m.
Oh,
So they
geez.
can't print any box scores the next day. So
How do you run a website though and have a deadline so early?
who knows? I don't know. That's insane. Well, I mean, the website that's going to continue to have all the stuff, but
Oh,
the
okay.
printed edition of the LA Times,
The actual paper. Got it.
Printed edition of the LA Times gone. There are no more box scores. But I mean, I say that, but do you and I get a printed paper?
No, I don't.
No. So
no. You know, there was a time when I was holding out. I was like, San Jose Mercury News has been so good to me. I'm going to be good to them. And then at some point, this was probably in the mid 2000s, I was like, I have a long commute to work. I don't actually have time. By the time I get to the paper, it's like in the middle of the day. This doesn't make any sense whatsoever.
Yeah, you've read all the news on your phone at that point, right?
Yeah. Or even back then, before I even had an iPhone, you would just go to, whatever the website was, Yahoo or, whatever the website that you followed your team. So, yeah, I can't imagine, these people are still employed though, who cold call you for the newspaper because the Mercury News is one of the holdouts. They will not share their website for free. You still have to pay for the newspaper in order to get access to their website.
Are they a Gannett paper? Is that why?
Probably.
Reno Gazette Journal here, same thing. They're a Gannett paper. So I can click on links and I can read some stories. But if I get to that third story, I got to pay for it. I ditched that paper because it was about that thick. Like about that thick. Like 3 pages in it. And I finally said, no, I'm good.
That's funny. All right, let's see. I think we're going to talk about the draft picks here, though. Day 2 of the draft happened today. I don't know too much about it, so we'll just talk about day 1. But before we do that, let's talk about what we are drinking because I've been teasing this one for a couple weeks here. I had mentioned that my wife, for my birthday, had got me a Scotch subscription. I think it's a monthly subscription. So I'm going to have Scotch until the end of the year, by the time I get that third bottle. But this is the first bottle. And I don't know if you can read that. Alexander Murray and Company, Milton Duff Distillery, aged 17 years. So the service, I forget the name of the service, but if anybody is interested in trying to check it out, send me an email, gg@bspnmedia.com, and I'll figure out what the services that we used to get this. But, I made this proclamation at the beginning of the year. I said, I'm just going to go ahead into Scotch. Like, I love bourbon. I will always love bourbon, but I want to see what the Scotch stuff is all about. And I've head first, man. Like I've just dove right into the deep end with this stuff. And I mean, the thing about it that I like now, I think, as we get older, you got to be a little bit more careful and you got to be kind to your liver.
Yes.
But it's all about kind of like it becomes a feeling thing. Like you have a feeling of, if I'm going to have a drink, do I want bourbon or do I want Scotch? Like there's a feeling now based on the palate, based on the taste. There are some nights where I'm like, clearly bourbon. I just want a glass of bourbon. But there are some days where I'm like, you know what? I do want the Scotch. It's a little bit more complicated of a taste. It's different. And I I'm really getting into it and I really enjoy it. And there is the sort of the mystery behind it too for me, as far as like what's good, what's not, why is this so much more expensive than this? And doing the taste test. Okay, here's the $20 bottle of whiskey. Here's the $50 bottle of whiskey. Why is this one different? So that aspect of it, like the kind of like the learning about it, I think is a lot of fun. So that's a big part
Yeah.
of the journey here. So I'm really enjoying it. But I also tried it a little bit differently. Like you see, whenever I drink it neat, I have the thinner head of the glass. This
Oh,
one's a
okay.
little thicker. And I did throw a small ice cube in it as well, because I mostly just drink scotch neat. But I was like, you know what? It's really hot outside. Let's try it with a little tiny ice cube. And I'm really enjoying it like this.
Yeah, the bourbon glasses are great because they have the little more open top to them. The Scotch glasses with that more closed down,
more
to
narrow.
It. Yeah, sometimes you get. I mean, if you get a whiff from the Scotch glasses, the Glencairns, ooh man, sometimes it'll like, yeah, you'll end up with no nose hairs after that. If you really wanted to clean out, don't get the razor, just get the glass, take a whiff.
No Vicks vapor rub, huh? You just need the sniff of the scotch.
I'm jealous, man. That is awesome. I love to get into scotch. I have my go-to bottles. I have like 3 or 4 bottles that are my go-to. They are so pricey that it takes me like a year to get through a bottle.
You got to, man. You can't just be slurping that stuff down quickly. That's an expensive hobby.
Way. Yeah, because even like I love Lafroig.
Yeah.
Lafroig 10-year, smoky peaty, but man, it's like up to $60-65 now. So when I get it, I usually buy it around like the holidays, like November or so. And then it lasts me all the way until like October or November of the next year. So
absolutely.
Yeah. Now this guy doesn't, because he's only like $11.99. I got some Evan Williams bourbon, which again, for $11.99, for the price you get Evan Williams for, this stuff is still just phenomenal. I mean, it is a great
bang for your buck.
Absolutely. I don't usually mix it. I usually go straight. But we have a couple of new guys in IT in our department, and I've been doing a lot of training. So I don't know if you can hear my voice, but I'm talked out.
Oh,
so
wow.
I was like, well, I'm going to put it in some ice with a Zevia caffeine-free cola.
There you go.
And just sip on it. So I got my, I'm truly sipping on it. I'm taking my time with it. But this is, I think, the first time I've mixed Evan Williams in anything.
And
it will not be my last time, because that is, I mean, it tastes sweet, and you really get the Evan Williams flavor from the mixer like that. So yeah, I'll be doing that going forward for sure, man.
And I've done the Brad thing where I will have the Zevia ginger ale just hanging out in the refrigerator, and you could mix it with tequila or you could mix it with bourbon. And I have the Trader Joe's bourbon. I got the Terramana tequila for the mixer. So I take Brad's advice on the Zevia is really good.
Well, and I like it because if you're going to have one drink at night, say it's a one drink night, but you're going to sit down and watch like Lego Masters with the kids or, something fun.
Yeah.
Or you're going to watch some shows. You've got that, 12 ounces of cola and the 2-ounce shot. So you've got like 14 ounces with some ice to sip on for a while. And it takes you a long time to drink it. So it's not like, sometimes I'll have a 12-ounce beer. It's really hot, Corona Light. I'll drink that sucker way too fast. And I'm like, well, that was my one drink for the night.
There you go. All right. By the way, if the home run derby was about who could actually hit the ball and have the outfielders catch it on the warning track the most, Mookie Betts would be winning this thing.
Yeah, that was not a great performance.
And you know what? Mookie Betts is a great baseball player. And if he wasn't on the Dodgers, he would be one of my favorite non-Giants. But since he is on the Dodgers, I just want him to lose everything.
Yeah. Oh,
and he is. I don't know if he's done. Is he done or is
he's
he
done? Yeah. Okay. He lost to Vladdy. Vladdy Jr. had like
Vladdy
26,
had 26,
and And what did Mookie have? Like 17?
Well, he had 11, and he hit like 7 in a row on the warning track, and then
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
lost track of what was going on. All right, let's talk a little bit about the draft that the Giants just had. And the thing about the NBA draft and the NFL draft is because the way that they market this draft is we know a lot of the players as the draft is coming up, but baseball has never been like that. There were times when Giants had, very high picks, and we got to go back quite a ways, and 1984, 85 time frame. And I absolutely knew who Will Clark was. 100% knew who Will Clark was. Watch Will Clark in the College World Series and knew exactly who the Giants had their eye on. And when he was drafted by them, you're like, yep, I know that guy. He's going to be great. But when you have a lot of high school players go, and the College World Series did make a comeback this year. It did, some of the highest ratings that I think that it's ever done. So they were able to talk a lot about some of these guys coming out. But still, did you know who's the kid's name that they drafted first? Bryce Eldridge. Did you know who Bryce Eldridge was before the Giants picked him yesterday?
Did not. No, and honestly, and even though we play the show and we hear about all the young kids and everything else, it's just not something the draft, like you said, the draft players are just not talked about. They are if you watch MLB the show, or no, sorry, I apologize, MLB Network.
Yeah.
If you watch MLB Network, yeah, there's some shows on there where they'll touch on the draft, and they had some draft shows heading up. So if I would have watched those for the last like month, I would have seen that. But again, like I talked about last year, the problem is with Major League Baseball is that you draft these players and you may not see them for 4 or 5 years, especially if the Giants are drafting 18-year-olds. It's probably going to be, at least 3 years, more likely 4 or 5, maybe even 6. But, once you start getting into control and 6-year control and all of that stuff, you really want to get these guys up so you can see what they can do in the majors before you start figuring out what to do. Like Elio Ramos, Joey Bart. But no, I honestly, and even the guy who went number 1, never heard of him before. But that's my own ignorance for not kind of catching up on this stuff before it all started.
Well, the College World Series, Dylan Cruz was kind of the guy who was, he was the well-known guy coming out of LSU. Golden Spikes winner. Many people thought that he probably should have went number 1, but the Pirates, signability has something to do with this when you are in the small market of the Pirates. But the guy that they took is a really, really good pitching prospect. But it's not it's not the Golden Spikes winner who was the guy who's the best hitting prospect in the thing, and who I think I was reading Keith Law said he thinks Cruz could actually start in high A at the end of this year, be in double A to start next year, and then by the middle and end of next year, you're already talking about an opportunity for him to make the big club. That's really cool. That's what the fans want to root for, right? They're like, they're going to put a clock on Dylan Cruz and go, okay, we're going to follow him. He's going to jump through all these classes, and then he's going to be on the big club before we know it. That's what you want to root for when it comes to this draft. And that's part of the problem, which is what you said, is there's no immediate benefit to really learning who these guys are, because you're not going to see them. Now, if you do a podcast like us and you read Roger Munter, who I read his recap of the top 3 picks. I read Melissa Lockhart's recap of or actually it was a preview, and she actually predicted both of the Giants' first 2 picks. And, then you read Keith Law and you go, okay, and you have a little bit of like a Monday morning quarterback view of what's going on. So who is Bryce Eldridge? High school kid out of James Madison High School in Virginia. The American Ohtani is what they call him, which means he's a two-way guy. Now,
no pressure.
Most of the prognosticators, the smart people, the baseball prospectus guys, as you can see my hat. I had Jared on the show a couple weeks ago when Brad was on vacation. They think that he's mostly going to be a first baseman, power hitting first baseman. Now he's 6'7", and Keith Law was writing about how the height of players actually can work against you as you age. And I think the outlier is Aaron Judge, right? Aaron Judge is dominating still. And so, you look at it and you go, okay, is Bryce Eldridge, who is 6'7" and 18 years old, he could get it even taller. Is he going to be Aaron Judge, or is he going to be like Damon Minor? Like, you remember Damon Minor?
Oh,
The
yeah.
Giants had. He's like a really tall first baseman who just had a giant hole in his swing. But the description is that he has a very short swing, so he doesn't have a very, this long looping swing, and he modeled it after Bryce Harper. So that sounds great to me. If you have a swing that you want to model after, Bryce is a great one. But again, like you said, we're just not going to know a lot now. Will he even get to San Jose this year? Probably not. We're probably thinking next year he's going to be in San Jose.
Yeah.
And so it's going to be a long road. Reggie Crawford, who the Giants picked last year, the same kind of two-way player, though he's flipped a little bit in that they believe that Crawford's rise to the majors is going to be as a pitcher, not as a hitter, whereas they think the way Eldridge gets to the big club is as a hitter. He's currently in San Jose. So there's a little bit of a long tail in trying to follow these guys, but I'm excited. I want to see this giant hulking 6'7" dude with the, if you're watching on YouTube, you can see the graphic with the Sean Jelly mustache. I'm sure there's going to be pictures of these guys standing next to each other. 6'10" Sean Jelly and 6'7" Bryce Eldridge. So what are your thoughts on just the idea of these two-way guys?
I like it. I guess Reggie Crawford and him have already been in touch, just kind of, about their skills and being in the same organization now. I like it because like I had tweeted out last night, the fun thing is you've got, and by the way, Julio Rodriguez in the home run derby just put on an absolute display. I mean, he went nuts in the last minute and hit 32 home runs in the first round.
I know he's not having like the crazy year.
Right.
But my gosh, if you're a young baseball fan, how do you not how is he not your favorite player?
Exactly. No, he's the guy you root for just because he has all the tools and he's super, charismatic and fun to watch. But yeah, I like the fact that the Giants are taking two-way players because then again, if you get, let's say he does, his power sticks and it is what it is. Awesome. The Giants are really thin in the minor league system at first base. That's great for the Giants. Well, let's say he throws mid-90s. Well, let's say he keeps throwing mid-90s and Giants get him under control and everything, and he's great on the mound. I mean, that's another win. And if he can do both, that's fantastic. That's a steal of the draft. How is the game going to change in 4 or 5 years if there are more and more two-way players? Is this going to be a type of guy who can play first base and then all of a sudden in the 8th inning you need him to come in and throw 95? I don't know. I don't know because is it one of those situations where he's not going to be an 8th inning guy? He's not going to be a 7th inning guy because they need to train a different way. Is training going to be looked at differently? Because you look at Shohei and you just say, well, that guy's just, I mean, that's how he grew up. That's who he is. That's how he was in Japan. And that's how he is here. So I don't know if the ways of training have to change for it to be more of an accepted thing, because with Reggie Crawford and now with Bryce Eldridge, all I keep hearing is, well, he's going to be more of a pitcher or he's going to be more of a hitter, but they drafted him this and he probably won't pitch eventually, but he'll hit. But why are you drafting two-way players if you're not going to at least entertain it and kind of see how it goes and put the training around these guys to to cultivate them and to say, we're going to try it. We're going to see if we can have 3 or 4 guys on the roster who can pitch and hit, because that just expands your roster tremendously. And then you can have more Brett Wisleys on your team if you do. No, I don't. Just
Brett Wisely, by the way,
I like him.
the hair was flowing when
Yeah.
I saw him start on Saturday. I was like, my goodness, how did he grow this thing out so quickly?
I think Julio just hit 9 more home runs. He did. He's got 41 home runs in the first round.
Imagine Pete Alonso going like, don't you want to see us in the finals? Why did you match us up in the first round?
Why did you do? Why is I guess they seeded based on whoever had the most home runs on July 4th.
Come on, MLB.
That's how they seeded it. You know what the tiebreaker was? Whoever had the most home runs since, I think it was like another certain day. Why not whoever hit the longest home run this season is a tiebreaker? Because, it's a home run derby.
I know.
Who am I?
All right, second pick for the Giants yesterday was Walker Martin. He was somebody who, everything that I've read said that the Giants were actually interested in him at 16. So they got him at 52. I have no idea why he was available at 52 if he was so great, but he led all of high school in home runs with 20 home runs in 29 games.
Jeez.
He hit 633. Who was he playing against? Was he playing against the freshman team? What's going on here? Yeah. Gatorade Player of the Year in Colorado. And he was compared to Harold Reynolds. Said he saw a lot of Chipper Jones in Martin's game. And then the kid said, I see more of my swing as Bryce Harper. So we got another Bryce Harper comparison there. And then he said, as an infielder, I feel like I fit the Corey Seager look. Hopefully he means the Rangers version of Corey and not the Dodgers version. Yeah. So what'd you think about this guy?
I think that was a good pick. Giants could always use more infielder depth. And they're saying he may not stick at shortstop or third base, right? Is pretty much what
I mean, on this team, who can stick to their one position?
Yeah, and that's the thing, is you got to be able to, if you're a San Francisco Giant and in the organization, you probably have at least 3 or 4 positions in your resume. But yeah, it's going high school and then high school, it's a little bit tough because, again, you got young kids and you're waiting to see them kind of grow into men baseball players. So you always wonder, like, what's the frame going to look like in 2 or 3 years? But the Giants are good. The Giants organization is very good with getting these guys on the nutrition, on the bulking up, getting them to grow into who they are, sticking with their tools, not trying to change them. So yeah, good pick. Again, a guy who could have been a first rounder, right? So two first rounders, and then I think we have a third coming, right?
Pete Alonso is going to have to get on a roll here.
He's
hitting a lot of balls to right field. A lot of balls to right field, and the pitching, the pitcher, batting practice pitcher here is throwing a lot of balls that are a little high.
That one was high and away, and he yanked it out.
Yeah. Jeez. Yeah. But when he gets one in his happy zone, holy cow.
Oh, yeah. He's a mammoth.
All right. So the third player that they drafted, and this pick came because of the Carlos Rodon, the free agency, Carlos Rodon leaving in free agency. And this is a college player. So, gosh, where did I put his name? No, I forgot it. Left-hander. I guess there was a shortage of left-handed pitching in this draft, so the Giants got I believe it's the second left-handed pitcher in the draft, which I believe it was Keith Law said, like, no left-handed pitcher had gone so low in a draft before ever. So the Giants got Joe Whitman out of Kent State, so college guy. And I think, they're kind of on the Wisenhunt trail. They're trying to find guys, at the tail end of the second round that fit that with Wisenhunt, and Wisenhunt has grown through the organization a bunch this year. So they think that they maybe got another guy like him who can rise through levels pretty quickly as a pitcher in the organization.
Yeah, I think that's good. Again, left-handed pitcher, could always use him. Fantastic. And again, another guy who they talked about possibly being a first rounder. So the Giants really got 3 players who should have been first rounders. They got 3 players in the first 3 rounds who should have been first rounders. So I'm trying to find who they ended up drafting today. Day 2, it says they went heavy on middle infielders because, like you said, can never have enough guys who play all over the place.
Yeah, they drafted a guy out of Tennessee with their first 4-round pick. Maui Ahuna is his name.
Like
shortstop, another shortstop. So they went, actually, no, sorry. That was their 4th-round pick. Their 3rd-round pick was Cole Foster, shortstop out of Auburn. So 3 out of their first 5 picks, middle infielders, shortstops, technically. So
Nice.
we will be checking in on these guys. The thing that I like about when you do the draft is to sort of see where these folks end up, because you remember a few years ago, Will Bednar, and I was able to go see his first ever start in San Jose. He only pitched like 1 or 2 innings, but that was kind of a cool thing. It's like, oh yeah, he's going to throw for San Jose. He's not going to pitch much, but it's already at the end of the year, and he's going to get a little feeling out process. But if like all of a sudden, Bryce Eldridge, they're like, yeah, he's gonna in August, he's gonna go to San Jose. I'm like, hey, I kind of want to see this dude. So that's the fun thing, is seeing where these guys end up. But the one negative, we were talking about this on the last show about how the draft is now around the All-Star break rather than the month before, is that it does push the starting dates out a little bit. It pushes them out.
Yeah.
And, so you may not see these guys actually play this year, or they may go play in like the rookie league, like you had talked about.
Yeah, one thing I've seen a lot in the quotes, Michael Holmes, who is the Giants amateur scouting director, he has said about a lot of the draft picks that, this guy controls the zone. So the Giants are really heavy when it comes to the draft on players who have a good eye on the strike zone, understand the strike zone, know their strengths, know their weaknesses. Especially with Eldridge, he did say in a quote that this is not a power guy who can hit. This is a guy who can hit and has power.
Mm-hmm.
So they're looking at that hit tool first, not your power tool. They're looking at that hit tool first, controlling the zone, making sure that this isn't just a free swinger who's getting bad pitches from college pitchers who are missing and throwing stuff right over the plate. No, they're making sure that they're getting guys who can control that and are, laying off outside stuff, laying off inside stuff, and getting their pitch and driving it. And that's just kind of been a big stress during this draft that I've seen.
Yeah. And we'll know more about these guys in the near future. I'm sure there'll be more write-ups. We'll learn about where folks are going. And, Brad and I like to talk about out of the park baseball. And that's one of the fun things too, is you get to do a draft in there, and then you get to sort of see how high on their prospects lists of your team that those guys are then sitting. So there's that's what's really cool about being a loyal baseball fan to a specific team, is you're just rooting for, people who you may never even get to see play. You're just like, oh, I hope he's good. And then you get like a Hunter Bishop, unfortunately, who just gets injured, and he'll always be a name in the back of our minds of somebody who, if his career turns out a different way, it could have been better. So, all right, let's end this. Let's end this show by talking about the predictions that we made that Brad has actually checked out and updated, and we're going to check in on those, the ones that actually matter for right now, because we did make some All-Star game breaks stuff.
Yeah, and those I kind of updated just kind of on pace. We don't have to go over those, but we do have two that we had predicted that would happen by the All-Star break. So number one was Casey Schmidt, because he was all the rage and all the talk in spring training.
Yep.
Was he going to be up by May 1st? Yes or no? And I said yes.
You got that one right.
No, actually he wasn't.
Oh,
So
he
I said
wasn't.
yes. Yeah, I said yes, and you said no. You were correct because he came up 8 days later on May
Oh,
9th.
I could have
So
sworn that you had won that one. Oh my gosh.
no, so the prediction was May 1st. I almost went with May 31st and said June 1st or whatever. But
Yeah, because
yeah,
Buster Posey came up on May 28th. I remember
exactly.
that day.
So
Exactly.
I went with May 1st because I thought if the Giants were out of the box cold, needed some hitting, needed some defense, that they were going to have a guy in Casey Schmidt that they could bring up right away and that he would be tearing it up early in the minors. He was, and he was brought up, but I missed that one by 8 days.
I kind of got lucky on that one, I think.
Yeah, well, no. I mean, yeah, I guess a little bit. We'll go with that. And then the next one was, will the Giants be in second or first place at the All-Star break? And I had to ask you on this one.
Oh, yeah. That's why you asked me
Exactly, because the Diamondbacks and the Dodgers are tied for first, and the Giants are right behind them, but technically they're in third place. Because if
close, though.
if either the Diamondbacks or Dodgers drop a half game, then the Giants are in third place. So, I said no, that they would not be in first or second place. I figured they'd be in third, kind of fighting it out. You said yes, that they would be in first and second. And of course, the answer is no, they are in third place.
That just shows you in both scenarios, you had really good over-unders because they were so close.
Yeah.
That's
very good.
Tough prediction to make, too.
Yeah, so but when you look at the ones for the rest of the season, and I won't spoil them yet, those are going to be off quite a bit. I'm looking at them now, and they're not going to be pretty. I could just throw them out there now.
Yeah, just you can remind people.
All right. So Bryce Johnson steals over under 30.5.
Yeah.
I said over. You said under. He's got 3.
So he's gonna be Ricky Henderson in the second half.
Yeah, exactly. So you got the under on that one. Starting pitchers used by end of the season, and that includes openers, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's if you started a game.
Yeah.
Over under of 12.5. We both said under.
Oh wow.
And we're at 10 right now.
Wow.
So
we're probably losing that one.
Only 3 more starting pitchers, and we're screwed. How about the Haniger Conforto combined home runs over under of 50.5? We both said over.
Conforto's doing a half decent job of holding up his end of the bargain.
He's got 13. Haniger's got 4, so we're at 17 right now. We got a ways to go on that.
Haniger may end up with 4, depending on when it's back.
And the San Francisco Giants win total over under 90.5. I said over. I predicted 94 wins. That's a long ways to go. You said under. Fangraphs right now at the All-Star break has us back up to 89.
So yeah, almost a perfect over under there again.
Yeah, so very close. So we'll see how that one plays out. Giants can still go on a tear. They could win another 10 games in a row.
All right, tomorrow or later today, if you're listening on the podcast, is the All-Star game. Where are you at with the All-Star game right now? I'm looking at these lineups, and I will say the only reason I know that every player who is starting is because of the show. If not for the show, I may not know all of these players. So thankfully, I'm playing the baseball video game, and that's helping me with my baseball knowledge. There is
you know these guys from fantasy, don't you?
It's not really I'm not that familiar with Josh Jung from the Rangers.
Oh, come on. That guy was a prospect a couple years ago.
I know Jonah Heim because of the show. Orlando Arcia, not that familiar with him.
I've had him on my fantasy team twice this year. and I've dropped him
Obviously,
twice.
no Corbin Carroll, young star Ronald Acuna
Yeah.
Jr. Dodgers have 3 guys hitting 2, 3, and 4 in this National League lineup. But yeah, so the Rangers they have like 5 starters, like more than half of the starting lineup for the American League are Texas Rangers. Bruce Bochy is very proud.
Oh yeah, it's going to be a fun game. I think. I mean, you're going to see a lot of young players. You're going to see a lot of young faces of Major League Baseball. I'm excited. I don't usually get super jacked for the All-Star game. Usually we're on vacation because my birthday a lot of times falls right around the week of the All-Star break. This year I'll be on vacation the next week during my birthday. So that's good. So this I'll actually be able to sit down and watch it. There's been 2 times over the past, I don't know, 8 or 9 years where I've been in Hawaii during the All-Star game, which starts at 2 p.m. in Hawaii. So it's like we're at the beach and I'll just check my phone and before I know it, I get back to the room to get ready for dinner and the game's over. It's just ending at like 5:00. So I'll be home. I'm actually working from home tomorrow. So I'll be able, and it's on 4K. It's on 4K on DirecTV. So I'll be able to pop it on right at the end of the workday. So that'll be kind of fun.
Yeah, I want to watch. My JJ's home now from Arizona, so trying to get him to come over and watch the game, and we'll order some DoorDash for dinner, and hopefully hang out and watch the All-Star game. But a lot of times, just historically, as I've watched the game in the past, I would sort of like watch for like 5 innings, like go 4 or 5 innings, and then they take the starters out and the backups come in. And so, watch Buster get his 1 at bat or his 2 at bats. And then I would just kind of be disinterested. But I guess because there are a lot of young players, it is a little bit more interesting. And, I would love to see Alex Cobb get in there and throw pitches. That'll be fun if he actually gets to pitch.
Yeah, the fun thing they did last year, and I hope they kind of build on that, was last year the game was in LA at Dodger Stadium. Alek Manoah was mic'd up while he was pitching. So that was really cool. They were talking to him, and he would stop talking and then pitch, and he'd say, okay, and he'd tell him, he goes, okay, I'm gonna throw a cutter here. I'm gonna, he wants me to throw it, down and away. So I'm gonna see what I can hit. And so that was really fun. So I hope they do some more cool stuff like that tomorrow during the game, because that makes it worth watching. It's an exhibition. You get inside the minds of these guys while they're having a good time and doing something that they wouldn't normally do during the regular season.
Yeah. All right. Do we have one final update of where we are in the home run derby before we get out of here?
Yeah. So Arozarena and Louis Bob. So they didn't change. So, okay. It looked like they were going to change from something I had read. They were going to change the seeding after the first round, but they did not. So Arozarena is going against Luis Robert Jr. right now. And then you've got Julio Rodriguez is going to be taking on Vladdy, right?
Yeah.
So you got the 6 and 7 seed on the other side, and that's where we're at right now. I still think Luis Robert can take this. Julio Rodriguez, though, looks pretty unstoppable right now. So
yeah, Arozarena is huffing and puffing. He's a tired dude right now.
Man, that's tough. When you're
is.
swinging out of your ass for 3 straight minutes and you only get 1 timeout. That's tough, man.
It is. I've done a home run derby a couple of times in my lifetime, and but it was you didn't just keep going and going and going. You had like only 20 swings or whatever to hit
that's
the
when they had the swings. Remember the old home run derby that they used to show on ESPN when we were kids?
Oh yeah, you made the whole inning, like everything is if it's not a home run, it's an out.
Yeah, so it was like Willie Mays against Duke Snyder or something.
Yeah,
that was fun times.
Yeah. All right, we will be back next week, though. You are out again next week, correct?
Yes, sir. Off to wonderful Las Vegas.
Yeah, so Brad will be out. Yeah. I will try and find someone to bring on. I have a couple people in mind to do the show next week. So it may not be on the same day. It may not be on Monday. It may be a different day, but I will definitely try to get someone on here to chit chat about Giants baseball. So let's send Brad some best wishes in love for his 50th birthday, which is crazy considering we knew each other when we were in like our early 20s.
Yeah.
But yeah, so happy birthday, Brad. We will miss you next week, but we'll be back. We'll be waiting for you when you come back, and we'll do something else with someone else next week. All right. So for Brad, I'm Double G. We will see you when we see you. Peace out.
Peace.